Hey, what is up, guys? Tyler here with Secureteam. So I'm looking at sort of a really a strange story, news story that came to my attention of basically a plane that crashed. It went off radar, and what's so mysterious about it is kind of the way it's worded and the fact that they're really not giving us any information at all as to what happened here. So as you read in the title and the description before the video started, there's a new USA Today article titled, "Pilot Talks About, quote, Weather Phenomenon, Then Plane Drops Off Radar, Killing 6 People." And apparently this happened in Milwaukee. Article states, quote, National Transportation Safety Board investigators said Sunday that there was a discussion between the pilot of a Cessna airplane and air traffic controllers about, quote, local weather phenomenon. Soon after, the aircraft dropped off radar and crashed. Now, the next thing in the article is a quote by the Price County Sheriff Brian Schmidt, who told local media, and I quote, "We are dealing with things that people just don't want to talk about or see." So, whatever that means, very mysterious. I mean, what's the sheriff talking about here? Could you be any more vague and mysterious? And so the report goes on that the Price County Sheriff's Office said the airplane crashed at approximately 3:21 in the a.m. near the north Wisconsin city of Phillips. The plane was found near State Highway 111 and U.S. Highway 8 in the town of Harmony. Authorities did not release how many people had perished in the crash until Sunday. According to WSAW-TV, the plane was a Cessna 421, and investigators said that the pilot was certified to fly it. The victims were all adults, and no names as of yet have been released. The sheriff's office said that the plane had left from the Chicago area and was heading to Canada on a fishing trip. The National Transportation Safety Board, the Federal Aviation Administration, and the Sheriff's Office are investigating the crash. There were a ton of people who volunteered to help with the search and rescue, along with a private citizen who aided the Sheriff's Department with his own private helicopter to search for the original wreckage. So, nowhere in this article do they state what happened, why this plane dropped off radar, other than the fact that the pilot, just before the plane went down, was talking about, quote, strange weather phenomenon, after which the plane disappears and crashes. Then we have the sheriff's very ominous and vague comment to the local news media, which again, I'll state, he said, quote, "We are dealing with things that people just don't want to talk about or see." So again, very mysterious. It's just a strange news report. And I'm trying to figure out what the sheriff is talking about with this statement. And what was this strange weather phenomenon? And why does it seem that the media doesn't know what happened? And why are they keeping it sort of hush-hush, is my big question. Now, I'm not claiming to know what happened here. I'm not saying it had something to do with UFOs or aliens or anything like that. But it is strange, and we have heard very similar stories like this that have occurred in the past that in fact did have to do with UFOs and this term, quote, strange phenomenon. Now, sometimes that have been lights in the sky. Other times we've had pilots encounter flying craft, shadowing their planes, again, just before dropping off radar, and usually, in a lot of cases, never being seen again. One of the biggest cases, in fact, was that of the disappearance of Frederick Valentik, who was 22 years old, was en route flying a 125-mile training flight in a Cessna over the Bass Strait in Australia when he encountered what he described as a metallic flying saucer, which he had relayed to ground control shortly after his plane disappeared, and he was never seen again. And like I said, we've also had these encounters with these strange lights. Here is a particular video where during a nighttime flight from Texas to Florida, a pilot encounters one of these ominous flying lights in the distance. So check this out.
What's the altitude about? I don't know, probably right around 30,000 at so, and it's with a strobe, it starts from going counterclockwise, and the length is unbelievable.
Janet, go ahead.
Hey, guy at 39,000 says he sees something at 30,000 that the length is unbelievable and it has a strobe on it.
Uh-huh.
This is not good.
What does that mean?
I don't know. It's a UFO stuff. It's no Roswell crap again.
Arcade 5, in the next 2 to 3 minutes, be looking off to your right side. If you see anything about 30,000 feet, one aircraft reported does something. It wasn't a weather balloon or anything. It was a long, white-looking thing with a strobe on it. Let me know if you see anything out there. Any traffic up on what's right now? I've got some passing off here at 9 o'clock and about 12 at 31 westbound. Okay, so it looks like something about a little lower than us just went up on what's way.
Alright, so this footage hit the internet, I think it was maybe 2011, 2012, so it's a bit older, but it demonstrates some of the things that these pilots encounter while up there. And heck, even President Obama's former Air Force One pilot once spoke about his interaction with UFOs. And, well, we've discussed this many times on the channel. Pilots see these things all the time. They encounter strange phenomenon, as it's called. They are told in most cases not to speak of it, not to report it to ground control, and if they do, are in some cases visited by military or men in black as they're called and told to keep their mouths shut. So again, it's just a strange news story. I'll post the link to it down below, and you know, I feel bad for the people in this plane, and you know, I thought it was worthy to post on, so maybe the sheriff here can in future elaborate on these things that they are, quote, dealing with that people just don't want to talk about. So, yeah, you guys let me know what you think. And before we end the video today, here's something strange. I mean, it has nothing to do with aliens or anything like that, but it does go to show how other world powers are quickly catching up to us as far as high-tech military gear goes. And what you're seeing here is a prime example of that, where just a couple of days ago, there was a leaked video that shows Russia's next-generation exoskeleton combat suit that was recently unveiled in Moscow, and this thing is literally straight out of Call of Duty, featuring this sort of what kind of looks like a motorcycle helmet covering the soldier's face, this cutting-edge body armor, and probably the craziest thing about it is the powered exoskeleton that you can see is wrapped around the arms, the legs, the feet, that allows for increased performance, stamina, speed while in combat. It was unveiled Thursday at Russia's largest high-tech prototyping center at the National University of Science and Technology, and was developed at the Central Research Institute for Precision Machine Building, which is a major Russian weapons designer and primary military supplier. And I do have to say, this thing is pretty badass. And it kind of gives you a glimpse into the future of what warfare is going to look like, which, God forbid, we never have to use them. But it's crazy to think that our soldiers may be running around in exosuits, just like in the video games you guys play today. And what was even more striking, straight out of video games and Hollywood films, was something said by Lieutenant General Audrey Grigorev, who, while speaking about these robotized futuristic platforms, spoke on the fact that, in future, robots and cyborgs will gradually replace human soldiers on land, in the air, and at sea and in outer space, saying, quote, "I see a greater robotization. Future warfare will involve operators and machines, not soldiers shooting at each other on the battlefield." So, as you've probably seen in some recent Hollywood films, you could imagine sort of what you would think today as a drone operator sitting at a computer terminal controlling a robotic soldier that's actually on the battlefield. And when something happens to that particular robot, it gets knocked out or destroyed, nothing happens to the actual human controlling it, and they simply reconnect to another robot that is deployed to the battlefield. So it's all crazy stuff to think about. Yeah, I thought this exosuit was cool enough to show you guys, so, and hopefully it'll stay that way, as simply a cool, novel thing to look at, and not something that'll be in use. But with the track record between our superpowers on this Earth, that may be wishful thinking on my part. But I digress. So thank you guys for stopping by today. Let me know what you think, and be sure to stay tuned, subscribe, and share, because I've got a lot more coming, and I will see you all back in just a bit. Stay safe, guys.